Hello Potters, welcome back to the Pottery Plus Studios. It's great to see you. I'm back today with my incense holder that we made in the last video, and I wanted to show you how to trim it. And this process applies to any piece that has a high point in the center. So this isn't just for the incense holder, this is for any piece that you might have like that you want to do a little bit of trimming on the bottom. Now this is not going to be a real extensive form of trimming that I'm going to do here, but it'll be just enough to kind of knock off some excess and refine that profile a little bit. Let me show you what I'm going to start with. I have a cylinder here that I've just had in my studio. I think I probably made it to do some glaze testing on, but this is going to hold the piece upside down so that that tall point can stick down into the cylinder and I can have access to the sides and the top and the bottom, not the top. Well, it'll be the top for this part of the process, but I think you get what I mean. So what I need to do first is center this and lug it down so that it's a stable support for the piece. And friends, this does not have to be a piece of pottery that you do. This doesn't have to be a piece of pottery that you use for this. This could be a coffee can or just any type of cylindrical shape that you have that you can lug down. You can use that for this process. So I just had a cylinder handy, but if you don't have one, it's perfectly okay. Just grab any cylindrical object that you think will work. Okay, I think that's pretty close to centered. Folks, I feel like with a process like this, perfect centeredness is just kind of like not necessarily a good expectation to have. So just kind of be aware of that. You might have a tiny bit of off-centeredness, and that's okay. I'm always saying, I feel like in every video I say this, but I feel like there's always a little off-centeredness somewhere. Okay, so what I have here is some soft lugs of clay that I've already prepared and kind of formed into a very casual coil shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my cylinder in place and I'm going to press those coils around. What's kind of nice about this part is these coils, this is just I picked this clay because it was the softest that I had, but it's not the same as the clay that the piece I'm trimming is made out of. And like I was saying, it doesn't matter with this because it's not going to be touching it. It's just holding down my cylinder. So the texture of the clay is actually more important than the clay body itself on this one. Just want it to be nice and soft and kind of easy to mold around that cylinder. If it's too hard, this seems counterintuitive, but if the clay for your lugs is too hard, it kind of doesn't form as much to like the piece that you're sticking it around. And so if it's soft, it'll actually be quite a bit more grippy. Okay, it's looking pretty good. It's not going to be perfect, so I definitely can't apply like too much pressure to this, but it's held in place enough where I think I can go on to the next step. Next, I'm going to take my piece, place it upside down on that cylinder, and I'm going to try to get it like as centered as I can just before I even start the wheel moving. Just because, you know, giving ourselves every chance of success. We'll kind of look at it from the side. Yeah, it looks pretty good. It's close, so that's going to help this step not to be as difficult. So now with the wheel just going kind of, maybe a little faster than that, so slow, moderate, I'm just going to center this by kind of holding it and letting it slide against my hands until I feel like it's as centered as it's going to be. Okay, and I'm just putting such gentle pressure, and if you have other ways that you like to center, like the tapping method or anything, you can use that here as well. But yeah, I think that's looking, again, about as good as it's going to get. And friends, the key to this part, you have to have your piece leather hard on this step. Otherwise, this is going to stick to you. It's going to get imprinted by the cylinder and your fingers, and your material is just not going to trim off correctly. So make sure that you're at leather hard, meaning it doesn't, it's damp, it's cold, but it's not sticky at all. And I can give a little squeeze and I don't get any movement. Okay, that's what we're looking for with leather hard. All right, and I'm ready. I'm coming in with my standard trim tool here. If you've watched my trimming videos before, you've probably heard me say I've tried a lot of nice trim tools and I just cannot get control of them. So I'm sure it's just a me thing, but I just use this simple basic trim tool that you get for small pieces like this. I do have some larger trim tools that I use for bigger pieces, but this is kind of, this and one other short loop tool that's a bit of a different shape are kind of my go-to. Okay, so this is gonna be a bit scary because there's nothing to hold this piece in place except your hand on top. And when I was teaching adults, I would observe quite often that our hand would want to migrate away and maybe kind of be like holding the right or holding more down at the bottom, like near towards the wheel head. But you've got to keep your hand on top here because that's the only thing keeping this piece in place. So that's why I was kind of saying you're not going to be able to do too much like extensive trimming here because you can't, we just don't have the supports in place to be pushing this piece around too much, but we can get it enough, like I said, just to give some definite, just to give some, I wasn't holding it down firm enough. I haven't done this in a while, so I'm just gonna center it back up, keep on going, press down a little bit harder with that hand on top. And I might have actually gone in a little too aggressively with my tool as well. Sliding around again. But that's okay. I just keep bringing it back to center as many times as I need to. But sorry, I didn't finish my thought, but it's not that important. I've already said it once in the video so far. This is just gonna get a little bit of excess material off and help you to clean up the silhouette or the profile down at the bottom of the piece, if that's something you want. But I said in the throwing process video of this is kind of a casual piece. You know, this is not like an incense holder like this or like the jewelry dishes we've gone over. They're kind of casual pieces. They're not gonna have to go in the microwave, the dishwasher. They're not gonna get picked up and held as much as something like a mug or a bowl or a plate. So I think, to me, when talking about trimming, it just doesn't have to be as refined. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of get a little bit of a pass. So if you didn't want to trim this at all, I think that would be perfectly fine too. But if you do, you can just get that little added bit of refinement by doing this step. I think that's looking pretty good. I'm definitely not going to try to trim a full foot into this or anything. Yeah, because I just don't think it needs it. I think this has brought it up a level in refinement, just this little bit that I've already done here. So from here, guys, I might do some cleanup, some compression maybe, get those tool marks out of it. But that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for this process of trimming. I hope that you found this helpful, and if you have any questions, let me know. I've kind of tried to be a little bit more active on our social media pages lately, so if you're interested, you can find us on Instagram at Pottery Plus Co. And Facebook as well. So yeah, if you want to see more content, there's not much, but there's some. Or if you have questions about this video or any of the other ones, you can always leave it below or find us in those other places. Thanks for joining today, especially if you're here all the way to the end, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.